So today's lesson is on section 6.2, which is another application of integrals. We're going to be finding volumes, and specifically volumes of irregular shapes in the coordinate plane. So if you look at the definition below, the definition of volume is if we're given some interval from A to B, that if the cross-sectional area, so when you rotate things or however this shape is constructed, if the cross-sectional area is labeled as S, and we label that area as A of X, then really all to find volume, you're just integrating the cross-sectional area. So that A of X represents cross-sectional area. So when we do things today, which will start off on really rotational volume, so we'll be rotating about the x-axis, y-axis, about another line, that when we rotate it to identify what the cross-section looks like, and then whatever that cross-section looks like, whether it might be a circle or a square or a triangle, whatever it might be, that's what we're going to be integrating in terms of whatever function's given. But again, the simple setup is just really integrating the area of the cross-section to find volume. So let's take a look at our first example here. It says find the volume of the solid obtained by rotating about the x-axis, the region under the curve from square root of x from 0 to 1. So the first step is getting an idea what this looks like. So if we kind of sketch out that last part here, square root of x function stems from the origin, looks something like this. From 0 to 1, we're shading that area. So this is the region it's referring to, and then you're taking that region and then rotating it about the x-axis. And when we rotate things, I like to sketch it out sort of three-dimensional shape, so whatever is above the x-axis is going to be reflected, and since you're rotating, it's going to kind of have that circular end to it. And so if you kind of imagine what this looks like, it kind of looks like something like maybe a bottom of an acorn of some sort, or maybe a bullet. But if you notice, whatever we're rotating that's what we're going to be taking our slices with perpendicular to. So our slices are going to be perpendicular to the x-axis. And so what I mean by that is if I slice it through the middle there, or no matter where I slice it, if I were to open up this object, what it's going to look like is a perfect circle. And so what we're going to be integrating is the area of a circle, which is pi r squared in this case. But we have to figure out how to represent that radius there. So notice the bounds are given from 0 to 1. So let's include those, so 0 to 1. And the radius in this case, if you kind of look at that, the radius is going to be that distance. And anytime you're doing distance vertically, it's the top function minus the bottom function there. And so the radius there is going to be the square root of x minus, we'll call it y equals 0 there. So it's really just square root of x minus 0, or just square root of x itself. But since the cross-section is a circle, we're going to be integrating pi r squared. So if we sub in the square root of x there for the radius and square it, looks like you're just integrating pi x itself. And so to solve this, remember any coefficients you can factor out. So I can factor out a pi here and just deal with the antiderivative of x. And so it'll be pi, antiderivative is going to be 1/2 x squared, sub in 0 and 1. And if I sub in 1, I get a half. If I sub in 0, I get 0. So it looks like my answer is going to be pi over 2. And so that has a volume of pi over 2 units cubed. So this is kind of our first initial example, one of the more basic ones you could ever come across. In the next few examples, you're going to see that the area ends up being, again, a circle. With each of these examples, I do have sort of a Desmos application tied to it. In fact, this is the Desmos graphing form of what we just looked at. So it's set from 0 to 1, and if I rotate it, so have my end rotate, you can clearly see that even highlighted by the red there, the red represents that cross-sectional area, so you can kind of page through and notice it ends up being a circle no matter where you are from 0 to 1. And so you're going to be integrating the area of a circle, which is pi r squared there, but that's a good three-dimensional image of what we just looked at. So let's take a look at another couple together. So the first one says find the volume of the solid obtained by rotating x squared plus 1 from 0 to to 2, and it's about the x-axis again. So everything in this first part is about the x-axis. And so if I sketch part A, x squared plus 1 is a parabola up 1 unit. So it looks something like this. You're only finding the area from 0 to 2 and then rotating that region. And so below the curve, it's going to look something like this. And if I rotate that about the x-axis, what it's going to look like is something that kind of looks like this. I'll try to draw the best I can here. But it's going to be solid all the way through. I guess if this was some kind of an image, it may be like a candlestick holder or something. But this is what we get, that three-dimensional shape. Remember our slices, when we take our cross-sectional slices, it's always perpendicular to the axis of rotation. So again, we're going to be, and I'll highlight in yellow here, we're going to be slicing it perpendicular to the x-axis. And imagine yourself opening this image up. If I were to slice, and since it's hollow all the way around, it's going to be again a circle. So the setup is again going to be pi r squared, because the area of a circle is pi r squared. The bounds are given from 0 to 2, and so we just have to figure out the representation for the radius again. And remember, the radius always is from the axis of rotation. So if I draw the radius here, which is that vertical distance in green, to find vertical distance, we take the top part minus the bottom part. So in this case, it ends up being, the radius itself ends up being the x squared plus 1 function minus the y equals 0 line again. So it just ends up being the x squared plus 1 function. And so the setup would be 0 to 2, pi, and then it'd be x squared plus 1 squared, because it's pi r squared. And that would be our setup for the first one. And so if I were to work this out by hand, I would factor out a pi first, 0 to 2. I would FOIL that out. So if I FOIL out that term, that ends up being x to the 4th plus 2x squared plus 1. And then after that, it's just reverse power rule, doing some FTC part 2 work. So a lot of the examples we're going to go through today is, I'm just going to do the setup here of what it would look like. And then from there, you should know how to work it out by hand if you wanted to find the exact answer. So if we look at that second one here, part B, it says find the volume of the solid rotated sine of x plus 2 from 0 to 2 pi. And again, it's about the x-axis. So if we get an idea what this one looks like, sine of x plus 2 is just a sine function up 2 units. So if I go up 2 units, it still starts at the origin there. At pi over 2, it's at 1, so it's going to be up 2 from that, so it's going to be at 3 then. At pi, it's at 0, but adding 2 to that, it's going to be 2. 3 pi over 2, it's negative 1, so it's going to be at positive 1 there if I add 2. And then at 2 pi, it's back to 0, but if I add 2, it's y value of 2. So this is what the sine of x plus 2 looks like. And so you're finding the volume of rotating that region from 0 to 2 pi. So if I highlight that region that we're looking at, this is what the region's referring to. And if I rotate that, again, about the x-axis, what it's going to look like is almost kind of like a vase shape. And so if I kind of highlight that here, this is the image, the three-dimensional image. And notice this thing is solid all the way through. And so since it's about the x-axis, we're going to slice it perpendicular to the x-axis. So if I take a slice out of it, again, when you open that up, it's going to be a perfect circle. So again, we are going to be integrating pi r squared again. And since it's with about the x-axis, it's going to be with respect to xn, so dx. My bounds are from 0 to 2 pi. Those are given. And then the radius in this case, to describe the radius, that's going to be this height in green. And if I do that radius of that circle there, top minus bottom would be that function minus 0 line. So it ends up being, the radius again is just, looks like the sine of x plus 2 there. But if I set this up, this one is going to be 0 to 2 pi, and then if I sub in my radius, sine of x plus 2 squared, that would be the setup here. If you had to work this out by hand, foiling this out, it still ends up being a difficult antiderivative to work with. And so this, as far as expectation, This might be just a setup, and then you can use your calculator to work this out, which I have that separate video on how to find integrals using your calculator, so make sure you check that one out. But this one for sure would just be a setup and give me the answer after the setup. So let's take a look at this one, which is slightly different than the last couple. It says find the volume rotated by the region enclosed by x and x squared. So we don't have any bounds here. And so let's get an idea what this looks like. And so y equals x is just a linear function through the origin. It's positive 1 slope. X squared itself would just be a parabola-looking function, again through the origin. And so I believe the region that they're referring to is this tiny little sliver area right here. Well, where they intersect would be from 0 and to this point here, and if you think about it mentally, that's going to be at positive 1 there. So the bounds end up being 0 to 1, so we know that. And in this case, when we rotate about the x-axis, what you're going to notice is there's going to be some kind of a hollow part inside. In fact, here's the best sketch I can try to get you here to try to visualize what this looks like. But if you were to rotate this, imagine yourself, you could probably hold some kind of snack inside this thing because there's a slight indentation there. It's going to be hollow. You can hold some water there as well, so it's kind of like a paper cup or something for water. But if I slice it here, which is perpendicular to the x-axis again, so if I make my slice again, it's not a perfect circle. In fact, what you get is this sort of ring shape when I slice it. This is what the cross-section is going to look like when you open it up. And anytime there's a gap involved, we're not going to integrate a circle. We're going to integrate whatever the larger radius is. So it's going to be the area of the larger circle minus whatever that smaller radius is, the area of the smaller circle. That's to find that overlapping ring area. And so anytime there's a gap involved like this, and it's not solid all the way through, we call this the washer method or ring method. So it's going to simply be bigger radius squared minus the smaller radius squared. And so that's going to be my setup here. We just have to figure out how to represent the bigger radius and the smaller radius. If you were to sketch this out, if you take a look at it, the bigger radius is going to be based off of the outer function here. And so notice the outer function is entirely above the x squared function. That's the y equals x function. And so the bigger radius is going to be x minus 0 if you describe that distance. X top minus bottom would be x minus 0. And then the smaller radius is going to be, looks like the x squared minus 0. And so if I set this up, plugging in my known values, my bounds are still 0 to 1, pi. It's going to be x squared minus pi x squared squared if I sub those radiuses in. Since pi is a constant, I can factor that out. And so if I factor out both of the pi's in front of my integral, it's going to be 0 to 1 of x squared minus x to the 4th if I get rid of those parentheses. And so from here, we just do FTC Part 2 work, doing reverse power rule, getting our final volume answer here. But the point of this problem is it wasn't solid all the way through. And so remember, if it's not solid, we're going to be using this setup. And so the setups, most of the ones we'll come across is either going to be a perfect circle where you're just integrating pi r squared, or it's going to be a indentation or some kind of gap involved in that object. That's when we're going to use that washer setup, which is the bigger radius minus the smaller radius squared. So this is just that three-dimensional confirmation of what we just did on that last problem. So it was from 0 to 1 of the function, and I already entered those in. So if you rotate it, you kind of see that three-dimensional shape, and notice that red area is highlighting what that shape is. In fact, I put in our Canvas module this same application, so you can actually open up this program. And what's kind of nice, especially with the homework problems, is you can change those functions here. And so if you wanted to change manually what it's in terms of and the bounds down below, you can do that with the sliders, but you can change those values to whatever homework problem you're coming across. So this should hopefully help you out, and especially visualizing what's going on here is a difficult thing. So I want you to try one more of these before we take a look at a couple other ones with respect to y and some weird shapes that are involved with these. But see if you can pause the video and work this out on your own. So sketch this out first, try to find those bounds first, and just to give you a hint here, there should be a slight indentation. So you're going to use that bigger radius minus the smaller radius squared setup. So good luck, try this one, and we'll go over this in a few seconds. So if you sketch this out, y equals x squared, just your basic parabola through the origin, and then y equals 4 is a horizontal line. And so it's bounded by both of these, so we have to assume that it's the entire region here. But you're rotating this about the x-axis. So when we do that, what you're going to get is sort of an hour-shaped glass type where when you rotate, it's going to kind of have that same reflection of that image across the x-axis there. And it's going to be circular on the ends because we're rotating. But there is gaps on actually both sides of this, both sides of the y-axis here. So since there's that empty space, that gap there, we are definitely going to be integrating bigger radius minus smaller radius squared. And so to find out where they intersect, we can set the x squared function equal to the y equals 4 function and solve. So notice right away the bounds are going to be from -2 to 2. So that's where these intersect, -2 to 2. And the bigger radius is going to be dependent on the outer part of the function here. And so if I sketch that bigger radius out in green, that's going to be the y equals 4 line minus 0. And so the bigger radius ends up being 4 minus 0 there, that distance. And then the smaller radius, notice, is going to be based off of the x squared function. And so the little r there is going to be x squared minus 0, that vertical distance, top minus bottom. And so if I plug in both of those, so it'd be still from -2 to 2. And it looks like 4 squared ends up being 16, and so it'd be pi times 16, and then minus x squared ends up being pi times x to the 4th. And then from there, it's just going to be FTC part 2 work. So factor out the pi and just deal with some antiderivatives, and you'll get your final answer there.